I would like to comment on a Facebook post by the creationist Ken Ham. One religion that has grown in numbers and cultural significance is atheism. Now, atheism is, of course, not a religion. And he seems to admit that when he says, now, why would we even call atheism a religion? Well, you wouldn't, or at least you shouldn't. AIG points out that as a non-theistic religion, atheism is a belief system that attempts to explain everything in our world, including how the universe came to be and how one should relate to his fellow humans. That is simply not true. Atheism has nothing inherently to say on explaining our world or how the universe came to be or how we should relate to our fellow human beings. Talk to 100 atheists and you may well get 100 different answers to those questions. Atheism is simply a lack of belief in a god or gods, and everything else that an atheist believes on any other subject is totally up to that individual atheist and how they see the world. Now, I think that a lot of atheists are very scientifically minded people. Even if they're not scientists themselves, they tend to put more stock in science than they do in, Bronze Age mythology. As such, its naturalistic, comprehensive worldview, as opposed to a supernatural one, often referred to as secular humanism. Some atheists are indeed secular humanists, but not all. I don't even know if most atheists would identify as secular humanists. Generations of our young people, including many in our churches, have been educated in government-run schools in the religious view of naturalism, which in reality is atheism. Naturalism is just the study of the natural world. I think that's at least how you intend it. There's nothing inherently atheistic about that unless you believe that there is no God. If you believe that there is no God in nature, then yes, the naturalistic worldview would be an anti-theist worldview. I don't know necessarily that that's what they're teaching in schools. I was never taught in schools that there was no God. I was never instructed that God is a fairy tale or anything like that. The subject of God was not broached in school. God belongs in the church, and I don't even know that God belongs there, but if he belongs anywhere, he belongs in the church. He belongs in your own personal life. It doesn't belong in the schools because there is no factual basis by which to believe in God. Your attempt to make God part of the curriculum of public schools is really just an attempt to make your own religion, make your own theology something more than what it is. By instructing people that, yes, this is factually true, this is factually accurate. Most people don't believe that. I mean, most people do in America believe that there is a God, but how many of them believe in the same God that Ken Ham does? I don't even believe that a majority of Americans believe in that particular incarnation of God. Now, I think that people are better off without any sort of God in their lives, but if people are going to worship a God, it should be a God of their own choice. It should be the God that they have decided exists for whatever reason. It should not be propaganda taught to them in school that this is what God is, and this is what he is like, and this is what he expects from you, because Ken Ham cannot demonstrate that this God exists. And by his own admission, he can't demonstrate that this God exists, because why would he have agreed to have a debate on the existence of God if God in his mind was simply a scientific fact. It's the same reason that Richard Dawkins doesn't go and debate creationists on evolution, because the facts aren't up for debate. Evolution happened. It is a fact. That's why Richard Dawkins doesn't debate creationists. And if he were to debate creationists, it would just be to correct their misapprehensions. And let's remember that in the course of that Ken Ham debate, the signature moment was when both men, both Bill Nye and Ken Ham, were asked, what would change your position? Bill Nye answered that evidence of God would change his position. Ken Ham said that nothing could change his position. So this is not a belief based in reason. This is a belief that exists for its own sake. Generations of our young people, including many in our churches, have been educated in government-run schools. Oh, I'm sorry, I read that part. It's more important than ever for Christians to understand false religions, including non-theistic ones like atheism and cults, for many of them have grown in such significance that they have helped the culture lurch into increased secularization. And then armed with this helpful background, Christians can better reach secularized people with biblical truths, especially the saving gospel message. Find out about resources that can help in this article. And then he links to some article that I'm sure is absolutely terrible. So Christians need to understand more about non-theistic religions like atheism. Well, it's interesting that Ken Ham is advocating that when he himself clearly has no idea what atheism is. Quite ironic. Thought I would share that with you guys. I didn't have a lot of time to make a video today because I'm going to do the Drunken Peasants private show for our patrons over there. But I thought I would just release this as quickly as possible so that you guys had some content over here on the Amazing Atheist channel. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel and give it a thumbs up.